19 remain missing, 5 were found dead, and 4 were returned. It is a painful task, I must admit, to read these figures, because for me, they do not only look like figures. I see people behind these figures. Some of us go to autopsies and you see how the bullets went into that human being and ruptured his lungs, ruptured his heart. And you see how, even the angle that he was shot. And you just ask yourself questions that you cannot really answer. So in terms of arrests, we have 3.5% last year, and this year we have 5%. So that's an increase of 1.5%. What does this mean to us? It means we have so many questions unanswered, and just like Olal put it forth, that we don't know what to tell the families anymore. We are left with follow-up calls and messages. What's happening with my case? Why is it not moving? You go to IPOA, sometimes you get feedback that it's being investigated. And it's such a difficult environment to work in, because especially at my workplace, you come to the office and you don't know where you'll be in the next 2 hours. Because there could be a family stranded at City Mortuary with the body of their loved one in that morgue, and they're stranded. They don't know how to report. They're weak. They're vulnerable. They don't know whether to go to that very same police station where allegedly a police officer came from and took away the life of their queen. It is just quite unfortunate, and I'm hoping that we'll come out of this conversation with something to tell the families, because as of now, we don't have much. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to bring Kevin into the conversation. If you could just share your experiences, Mom.
Nitaongea na Kiswahili. Mtanielewa. Comrade Power. Mimi naitwa Mama Kevin. Ni mothers of victims kutoka Malawi. Mimi nikianza na mambo ya jirani zangu. Last year Batman. Kijana yake alikuwa anaenda kununua t-shirt kwa kioski. Kijana kwenda kununua t-shirt, kuna mtu alikuwa anamfuata nyuma akiwa amejificha. Na kwa nyuma. Sasa huyu kijana anastuka, anashindwa ni nini, aligonga ule mtu. Kumgonga ndio huyo alimshika, akamsikia hapa, anaitwa Ramadhan. Akienda kumpiga, alimtocha vibaya sana, vita kubwa sana. Alimpeleka akimpiga paka Amana. Kuna watu walikuwa wanaangalia wakiona kile anampiga. Kufika hapo, alimkanyanga paka kichwa, na mtoto anaanza kutoka paka damu kwa mapua, kwa mdomo. Walimshika wakamwingiza gari. Huyo mtoto tulimtafuta karibu wiki 3. Ya 3 ndio alionekana. Mwenye nilipigia simu ni Mama Victor. Kamwambia Mama Victor, kuja saidia hapa. Mama Victor akakuja. Tukasaidiana, akapigia na akapigia mama anaitwa Rasma, akakuja. Haki Afrika ndio walitusaidia mpaka tukapata hiyo kijana, akaweka paka kwa media, ndio tulipata huyo kijana kwa mochari. Wakati alipatikana kwa mochari, alikuwa ako vibaya sana, hata ungetaka kumwangalia vile alikuwa mbaya sana. mpaka kwa kichwa. Kichwa ni kama ilikuwa imenyolewa, mikono, kila tuseme sehemu zote za hapa juu. Huyo kijana alikuwa amefanyiwa vibaya sana, na sigo ilikuwa imefungwa na waya, na siogopi nikisema hivyo. Na mahali alitolewa huyo kijana, pale tulielekezwa, ni kama alipelekwa hapo, kaenda kufanyiwa hiyo mambo yote hapo, ndio kaenda akapatikana, ndio akapelekwa mita. Na hata wa sasa hatujawahi pata justice ya huyo kijana. Akawaambia wacheni nifike kwetu nikaangalie mama yangu. Walimshika wakachukua hiyo maziwa wakatupa, matunda wakatupa kwa barabara, wakaenda wakimpiga vita mbaya sana. Mpaka mahali alikuwa anatoka jaso, inatoka, inamwagika chini, wakampadisa. Hiyo Amana ndio kichinjio ya watu. Petrol station. Wakampeleka hapo. Kumpeleka hapo wenye kumshika sio wenye walimuua. Aliuliwa na Rashid. Walipigia Rashid simu, akakuja na hiyo gari yake. Akamwambia, si nilikwambia hata nikikupata mahali popote. Kiti. Hata kama itakuwa kwa kanisa, hata atakuwa na mama yake, nitammalizia. Na hivyo kweli ndivyo ilitimia. Alimuua. Kitendo yake. Akamaliza kijana. Tangu 2019 sijaona justice, sijapata justice. Na IPOA ndio mlienda kufanya hiyo postmortem. Sijawahi ona, na kila kitu iko huko. Na kuna witness, kila kitu niko nayo. Kwa hivyo sisi watu wenye tumeuliwa watoto tuko na shida juu hatujawahi pata justice. Hakuna mwenye amepata justice hata nani. Tunaweza penda tupate justice. Hata na threat yenye imekuwa nao maaskari. Uwezi kaa unatumaniwa, unadhiretiwa, unauliziwa watoto wako ni wangapi. Kama mimi anakuja wananiulizia watoto wako ni wangapi, watu wenye sijui. Naambia mimi niko na msichana na ni msichana moja, juu naogopa kuwataja. Si uko na vijana wawili? Naambia sina, niko na kijana. Kwa hivyo sisi tuko na shida. Kama hao bado hawajachukuliwa, wawekwe korokoroni. Wakishikwa wawekwe korokoroni, justice itapatikana vizuri sana. Juu hao ni wauaji kabisa. Na hata saa hii unaona nikiwa hapa, pengine nitaenda nikute wameanza kunitafuta. Ndivyo wanafanya. Juu mimi niko kwa threat. Na siogopi nikisema. Kwa hivyo inafaa hizi cases msichukulie maanani. Siende zichukuliwe haraka, justice ipatikane. Na hakuna mwenye anastahili kushikwa aende auliwe. Kuna police station, chukuliwa uende uwekwe hapo, baadaye uchukuliwe uende ukesi kuliko kuua. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba mkifanyika vizuri, au tu wenye wauaji wote wakichukuliwa wawekwe korokoroni, itakuwa ni sawa. Juu hatutakaa na amani kama hatawekwa korokoroni, hata kesi sikiendelea mbele. Ndio tupate amani. Hivyo tu.
Asante sana. So this is what we're going to do. I know you want to get into your reactions. I'll come back to you, but I want to get some quick reactions to George Mwangi and from IPOA. Rashid has been mentioned very many times. Has it come to your attention specifically?
Yes, I agree. Rashid has been mentioned many times. And the last time we had the issue, it has been repeatedly mentioned that IPOA has been handling the matter. So you see, we have a kind of working relations. We cannot go into a matter being handled by independent oversight authority. It's not a new matter the lady is bringing up. I've heard that issue being brought every now and then, several times. And in those forums, we've been having IPOA representative even today. And from there, you see, they are the best people who can be able to respond to the matter. Thank you, sir.
Okay, great. Let me get IPOA. The same, the Rashid issue is what? It's going into 5-6 years, still reporting it as it's happened yesterday. What's happening with that?
Thank you, James. To start with, yes, we've had a number of complaints against Rashid and a number of police officers from Pangani, generally. Of course, it's always been in the media, Pangani 6. Without going into the merits of the specific case or a number of other cases that we're investigating, of course, because of the sensitivity around safety of our witnesses and a number of other issues around matters that are currently under active investigation. We've had challenges. Number one, with regard to getting eyewitness accounts. Some of these incidents occur late in the night. In other instances where we have witnesses, they have always expressed apprehension about speaking to us and offering their testimony to us. And like I mentioned earlier, we have a challenge generally with regard to witness protection, because as it is now, the only request that can be considered by the Witness Protection Agency is when matters have been registered in court. So for matters that are still under investigation, we are unable to offer certain safety measures to witnesses, and therefore many of our potential witnesses are not willing to come forward. We've had breakthrough in 1 or 2 files by the said police officers, but again, I will not want to go into the merits of that for now. Thank you.
Okay, I want to bring you into this conversation. I have a microphone there if you'd like to chime in, so that we build this as we go. Do I have a burning comment at the back? The gentleman on the white cap? And then the gentleman at the back after him.
Hello, my name is Francis Ndegwa from Protection International Africa. And I want to address the issue raised by our colleague from IPOA that we don't have, we can say, adequate witness protection, in that you have to be admitted, you have to be giving evidence in court for you to be considered to join. And what this comes to is that as a country, or as a nation, or as a region, we have failed to implement the UN Declaration on Human Rights Defenders of 1998, whereby as states we are supposed to develop our own protection mechanisms for human rights defender. And a human rights defender is anyone, either as a person or as a group of people who are coming together to expose human rights violations. Very basic definition. But we are not putting this into perspective to develop our own local protection measures. So as we continue with this discussion, our colleagues who are already in government, how do we do this to complement the work being done by the Witness Protection Agency? Because they have to go together. Otherwise, the Witness Protection Agency will always be overwhelmed, or they have legal limits on what they cannot support. But then if as a country we have a different mechanism that can support anyone, a whistleblower, anyone who talks about human rights violation, then we're in a good position to proceed for this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The gentleman at the back.
My name is Sungu. I come from Kisumu. Just two short observations. One, the Kenyan state, as presently constituted and operationalized, is a criminal enterprise. Then two, we are discussing enforced disappearances. And we know that these disappearances are perpetrated by the police and various arms of the police force. However, we are not talking about the history of the Kenyan police force. You know, for example, the AP, when it was formed in 1930, whatever, I don't remember the exact year, it was formed to beat the native African into submission. When the GSU was formed in 1952, it was formed at the height of the emergency to suppress those who are fighting for their freedoms. And we look at these units of the police force and how they operate today. And we see that colonial framework still operationalized to date. So is there a way in which the discussion can also enable us to historicize and problematize so that we know exactly what we are discussing? Because without discussing that overall architecture and its history, we will be doing zigzags. Thank you.
Thank you. Bring the microphone to this side. So I'll ask you to say your name and very briefly must start. I take many questions.
Good evening, everyone. My question comes to IPOA. My name is Bena, or Mama Victor, convener of Mothers of Victims and Survivors Network. I want to ask IPOA, here comes, when Rashid arrested Kevin, first it was threatened. They took Kevin to the court. Court decided that Kevin didn't do anything. They released Kevin. Then Mama Kevin reported to you, IPOA. What action did you take? I think for the threatening, you should take an action first. Secondly, when Kevin was killed, secondly is when Rashid told Mama Kevin, wherever I will go to your son, either in the mosque or in the church or on the market, whether you will be with him, I will kill. Is that not witness? Is she not a witness? And what type of witness do you need, you as IPOA? And how many witnesses do you need? Because I think that is a very, very clear witness. Secondly, when Blackie caught Ramadan, there were people who were looking. Are those not witnesses? And how can you take action? And why don't you come to the ground so that you can go to those witnesses? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me get these questions answered first because they're very important. I don't want to lose them. You're very direct questions that you need to answer. How many witnesses do you need, for instance, for you to have the sort of enough evidence or threshold? What is the threshold for you to move forward with a case?
Thank you, James. Allow me to also acknowledge with thanks comments and concerns generally with regard to these incidents. Now, matters of investigating criminal acts by police are very complex, especially with regard to shootings. Now, we require witnesses, yes. We also need to process scenes of crime. The gun or guns that have allegedly been used during that incident, we also need to process them. We forward them for ballistic analysis, see whether there's a matching. Now, under the law, the police are required to notify IPOA within 24 hours with regard to incidents of death or serious injuries. And therefore, we are never there in real time to process the scene. And that means sometimes when we get to the scene, normally certain crucial pieces of evidence have been lost. One of the major challenges we have experienced generally, I had also mentioned something about witnesses, eyewitness accounts, but then it's also with regard to forensic analysis. And if you look at the report by the JLAC Committee of the Senate, one of their findings was that we do not have an independent forensic lab to aid investigation by independent agencies such as IPOA, so that we still rely on the DCI to examine the exhibits we forward to them. And that takes a while. And so the Senate has made a number of recommendations, including sufficient funding, ensuring that we have a lab going forward. But that said, these are matters that we are actively investigating. I know that specifically with regard to the threats to life that were issued, the threat to kill that was issued before Kevin was killed is something that we did investigate, and allow me, for purposes of the sensitivity of this matter, not to go so much into those details, but like I mentioned, we have conducted investigations, and there's a file we did submit to the DPP with regard to those police officers, and we're still working on it. The DPP has directed cover points in a number of areas, and we're still addressing that. And so as we move forward, I'm sure we will be giving feedback to our clients. Thank you.
Okay. Tabitha?
Yes, let me say that when I listen to the speakers and to the questions that have been raised, I'm seeing two glaring issues. One of them is access to justice, and the other is security. When I listen to Mama speaking here, she's saying, I have a case, and I've done everything that I can. I have spoken to the civil social rights groups, the ones who are represented by Mr. Olalia, and they have done whatever they can. They are seeking justice. So we are not here to lament that the security systems are helpless. We are just here to explain that IPOA is doing whatever they can do, and when they have done their investigations, they forward the files to us, and we subject them to some technical scrutiny, because there is no need of taking a matter to court just to please Mama that her case is in court, because she wants justice. So if there is something, if there is a gap, we will return the file back to IPOA and tell them cover A, B, and C. And when that is done, we make the decision to charge, and we take the matter to court. My plea would be that if Mama was threatened, her son has already been killed, and she's still being threatened, how many more do you have? It means she's not safe. So she's likely to be killed. So the question is, where does she go? Because I'm looking at Dandora. I lived in Dandora when I was a young girl. I was in the university. My first time to come to Nairobi, I lived with my sister in Dandora. I went to the university, and during weekends I used to come to Dandora. And I remember even those 1980s and early 90s, I could only be in the house. I even felt insecure to be sent to the kiosk, because there were there are gunshots, there are people running, kuna wezi, kuna nini. There was always an issue. I think we need to have another approach to Dandora and get to the bottom of the matter of insecurity. Let us put away our suits. Let us stop wearing socks and let's wear gumboots and sports shoes and go there and engage the community of Dandora and get to the root of matter. My take is, if Rashid has been mentioned many times, for us as ODPP, we evaluate files to look for evidence on every individual case. We cannot prosecute Rashid based on the allegation that inasemekana ameua watu wengi. Hapana. We will prosecute based on each and individual cases and evaluate evidence. But for the police agency, maybe you could consider to remove Rashid from that area and investigate deeply in that conduct, because the IPOA process is an independent process of investigation, and it is a technical process. But the police IAU, you can deal with matters of indiscipline, which I believe can happen independently. There is no way, because wananchi wanataka kuona justice. And when they keep on mentioning somebody many times, your officer. Let me give an example of my office where I work. There is no way wananchi will complain about me twice, thrice, and my boss will just keep me there. Nitatolewa hapo, and he will get to the bottom of the matter and say, why are they complaining? And if I'm fine on the wrong, I'll face the music. So I think wananchi need to hear something about this Rashid. I've heard about this is the third time I'm hearing about Rashid in another panel and in another one this week, and I think the name has featured. Not that I'm saying Rashid should be sacked, but I'm saying the authorities in charge, the IAU in charge of discipline, you should look into the matter, remove him from that station, and just see what you can do about it so that the people in that station can feel safe. I can say that for now. I don't know who was the next speaker.
Yeah, and I'll go back to George. Is that possible? That your response was that it's an IPOA question, but you don't have anything to do with it, so...
No, it's not that. You see, if Rashid is being adversely mentioned for those malpractices, we are also duty-bound to ensure that Mama here get justice. But you know, the law, the way it is, whenever any police officer is facing serious criminal charges, these disciplinary issues is normally put in abeyance until that criminal investigation is done away with, whether the officer is found culpable and charged in court, or if it's not found culpable, IPOA still can refer a matter to IAU on disciplinary issues, and then we pursue. But it would not be wise to remove Rashid the way Madam is saying, when Rashid is facing those serious criminal investigations and the matter is still pending. Because we don't want an issue where the people will start accusing the National Police Service of hiding Rashid. Let us, if there's a probe, let that probe be concluded urgently. The way you've said, this matter it did not start yesterday. It is something which has been there 6 years down the line. So it is a matter of expediency. We do this thing expeditiously. If the ODPP has said there's areas to be covered, let us cover those areas. If there are challenges in covering those areas, we are here in the Internal Affairs Unit to give support to those areas which need to be covered, and then we proceed. There are several cases. IAU, Internal Affairs Unit, has come in to resolve very complex cases within a very short while. I give you an example of Kianjoma case. This matter came to us, and within 20 days, we had already submitted a file to the DPP, and the DPP was already looking into the file. There's an issue of Rioma case. The Rioma, there was a conflict between the community and the police. Somebody died, was alleged to have died in police premises, and then there was allegation that the police used excessive force, and as a result, a lady died. Within a fraction of 20 days, we had already produced a file and submitted to the DPP. So with us, we are bound by Article 47 of the Constitution, and that is how HIU works. We also have our operation manual, which dictates the limit. We have a 6-month, we have 90 days period that file should be completed. There are other cases we can complete within that. So if the ODPP, Madam can attest to that, gives us a direction, go and cover this. We are duty bound to ensure that that thing is covered within the limit. Because you know you cannot just wait justice forever. That is my take, sir.
All right, let me go back to another round of questions. There's the gentleman there, the white. Can you give him a microphone? Let's make our comments very short or questions so that I get many in the room, because many want to make contributions.
I'm Don from Kayole, and maybe the issue of insecurity in Kenya starts with the security personnel. Insecurity Kenya unapata pale mtaani, allow me to speak in Swahili, pale mtaani wale manjege ndo bado wanapatia wezi makidi, unaona? So ndo upatie mwizi kidi atumie, alafu at the end of the day, after you've benefited from that guy, you kill that guy. That doesn't make sense at all. Na kuna a security personnel in Kayole called Ngare. There's a time that nilikuwa nimeshikwa juu ya curfew. Then saa 8 usiku anachukua wasee hapo kwa cell, anaenda nao kwa interrogate. Anainterrogate ya wapi na ni saa 8 usiku. Kwa amewachimbia kaburi hapo, then at gunpoint anawaambia unatoa wenzako ama nini. So like hizi issues zina happen mtaani. Na insecurity Kenya inaanza na the security personnel. The one who are supposed to be taking care of our security. So what should we do? Tutafanya aje? Tumechoka.
Thank you.
Mark Kioko from Protection International. So my first comment is, why does even the IPOA exist if their failures surpass their excellence and their successes? 2 is, what is IPOA doing to engage their community service organizations which are there at the grassroots, where like in the last 2 weeks I was in Mathare and I heard the plight of the youth there. Like every single day there is a youth who is killed, and that is never documented. So according to me, it's like the IPOA and the internal affairs of the police, they all wait for stories from the media. They do not go there to the ground to gather information themselves. Then to Mama Kevin here, when she encountered her plight, she had to go the way to IPOA, to all those other places, but there was no one like nearby. There are no stations, like stations for IPOA, station to report the police stations, what they have done wrong there for the stories of Mama Kevin, so that she love to start from the grassroots, from there she lives, she can get protection there instead of having to go outside far away where she'll be much endangered. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Give the lady. Give this lady.
Habari zenyu. Kwa majina naitwa Rachel Mwekali, natoka Mathare. Swali yangu na hii target IPOA. Kamera gani inaenda State House ndo nisikutwe? Experience yangu pia na IPOA, especially now tunaelekea election na cases mingi za IJE zinaongezeka time ya election. Mtatuashuaje institution accountability kuensure nikikuja kuripoti kesi, because I understand watu wengi wanafanya investigation kwenye pia ni polisi. Na ripotaje polisi kwa polisi mwenye ameua mtu? ndamripotiaje? Secondly, mnatuashuaje protection? Because mko na very intimidative way ya collect evidence yenye mnafahamu improve. Unapata unakuja kwa ofisi, kila mtu anakuangalia. Naongea from experience ya kesi nilikuwa nayo. Kila mtu anajua huyu ndo amekuja na ile kesi ya yule kijana ameuliwa. So mnatuashuaje hiyo protection ya public? Ama activist akikuja, amwendi kumpia na to the same police akutu auliwe.
Sir, can I respond?
Okay, yeah, respond, yes.
Okay, I just want to respond to that very important questions. Why, okay, it is good to know that Internal Affairs Unit is an internal mechanism to address police misconduct. They are composed of police officers. I want to assure you, when you report a matter to Internal Affairs Unit, it will be handled with a lot of confidentiality. It will be handled to your satisfactions. I don't want to speak that for myself, but we've worked very closely with the social justice centers, and many of them are here. They have brought cases to us where the police officers, they feel, have gone overboard. And those cases have been handled professionally, and the officers who are found culpable have been prosecuted. We know there is law. Any police officer, if you disclose the identity of the reporter, that is, to us, is a criminal offense. It's also a disciplinary offense. We also have a system which was put in place by the support of the multi-agencies, the UNODC and Transparency International. It is known as Anonymous Reporting System, ARIS. This system helps us to get information or complaints from members of the public who fear to come to the unit. And we have been receiving several cases, people reporting to us anonymously. The platform has been there. Those people who have met in the social justice centers, human defenders, have been reporting several cases to us, and we've acted on them. So, madam, if you fear that maybe your identity might be revealed, there's that platform, anonymous reporting system. And clearly, you've been seeing even over the newspapers, over the electronic media, Internal Affairs Unit taking police officers to court. And Internal Affairs Unit at a very accountability mechanism. One of the institutions that ensures that Internal Affairs Unit is accountable to the people is IPOA. IPOA, there is a provision in IPOA Act and also National Police Service Act that they review and also supervise the operations of Internal Affairs Unit. So if anybody, if you feel aggrieved with maybe the investigation being conducted by Internal Affairs Unit, still you can go and report to IPOA. We also have the National Police Service Commission. Their work also is to supervise and also review the actions being taken by Internal Affairs Unit. We also have the Office of the Inspector General. So if you look at all these accountability mechanisms, nobody in the Internal Affairs Unit can be able to attempt to cover up or reveal the identity of the reporter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You need to respond?
I'd like to respond to a question by Don from Kayole, and specifically with regard to certain police officers who have overstayed at Kayole police station and are engaged in criminal acts. Now, besides investigation, other functions that IPOA does under Section 6 of our Act is inspections and monitoring. What we do is we inspect police premises, including detention facilities. And when we do that, we look at their records, and from the records, we're able to identify police officers who have overstayed in those stations and are due for transfer. And what we do is we make recommendations to the service. We have made a number of recommendations with regard to transfer, because under the policy, and this is documented, police officers are supposed to be transferred after 3 years.
But that hasn't happened.
Yes, and it is on record, and I think we need to ask the right questions to the right people. And our reports are public reports. We made those recommendations to the IG. And in fact, with regard to Ahmed Rashid, how long has he been at Pangani, for instance? Even in as much as we are trying to struggle with investigation, perhaps there are certain actions that can be taken by the IG's office, including transfer, because you certainly stayed more than 3 years at Pangani, for instance. Number two, with regard to a question asked by Mr. Kioko, I think about our interaction with the justice centers. Social justice centers is a welcome idea, and I would like to thank our partners who are supporting the justice centers, because they're the first contact with our victims. And in fact, what we are doing right now is we are also engaging them, and what we intend to do is to also train them generally such that when they respond to incidents, they're able to properly document, and if there are exhibits that have been recovered, they are then able to secure those exhibits properly to aid our investigation. So I think we are doing a lot of work in engaging them. Finally, with regard to an assurance as we come towards the election period, we are building a lot of capacity of our investigators right now to be able to conduct investigations relating to atrocity crimes, mass crimes, for instance, where we have a community of victims in one area. We have built the capacity of our investigators to be able to do that. In fact, we are looking beyond the penal code, and we are now looking at international law to be able to prefer the right charges. We also have a 24-hour call center, which should be able to respond as and when those complaints come in. And finally, we are all civilians. Hakuna masanse aipoa. We are all civilians. So you should not be worried about coming to us to make a complaint. Thank you.
Okay, Zena, did you have something to comment? I'll come for that round. Hang on, let me get some.
Mine is an observation that we have made, that when there's uproar from the community, cases move faster. However, the uproar comes with some negative consequences, which, if not looked into, we might have a very difficult situation going forward. I take the Kianjokoma case as an example. We all know what happened before this matter was expedited. I'm concerned because if this is what it takes, and this is the perception that is going out there, and next year is an election year, I fear for this country, because we will have citizens going to the streets and doing what they think is right, and will not be able to contain it.
I think someone there said that we need to look at the history of where all these things came up, and I like the conversation on elections. But to come to IPOA's defense, the Ransleys Task Force came up with clear recommendations after the 2007 and 2008 general elections, which IPOA was one of them, the ODPP was one of them, the IAU was another one. But there's a critical element that is still missing, which is the National Coroner Service Act. So IPOA might do all they can do, but unless the systems are set up in such a way that there's independence in all the investigation, IPOA can't do much. They can only, their hands are tied at the end of the day. So we must also take our place, and besides asking them, and look at the gaps in which we were given and ask for them. Because this act has been there since 2017, and there's nothing that has happened. So as we go to the next elections, the police are still the people who will be collecting the evidence. So in such a flawed system, I don't believe justice will be realized.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the flawed system. Let me go to questions. Okay, yes, there's a gentleman here who's been burning with a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James from Dandora Justice Center. I also work on case management at the center. One, I would like to appreciate the Internal Affairs Unit, especially the Investigations Department, because recently we had a case of a young Form 2 boy who was assaulted. He was tortured by the police for 2 days. A very young boy who up to now, he's still traumatized. He's not been the same. He's a 16-year-old boy who was arrested, tortured for 2 days, then released. The family has gone through a lot, but IAU came through. The only challenge is that, just like she said, all these things are expedited only when they appear on the news, because it was pressure. It was, once it appeared on NTV, and that's how the case was followed up. But all the same, I thank the team for responding, because the head of investigation himself was able to be there, and we thank for that. So the case is continuing, and we hope the boy gets justice. The other thing, I think people have talked about Ahmed Rashid and all that. There is another OCS at Pangani. This OCS has been to 5 police stations. The number of female police officers who have been assaulted sexually by this police officer is overwhelming. He is still in the service, and we believe he has godfathers in the service. Because you cannot tell me more than 40 women have come forward, and including police officers who sought anonymity. And personally, I have been able to talk to some, because that is what I do, case management. And they said, try and help us, because this person is in a position of power, and he keeps doing this wherever he goes. So what is supposed to happen to these female officers, or officers who are on the line of duty, but themselves are disturbed? Either they are being mistreated, or their boss is too much on them. Just yesterday, I was reading a post on Facebook. There's a police officer who hanged himself, and he said, when I die, the money that you'll contribute, please use to pay my debts. I failed you, my children, So what are we doing, in as much as there are things that we cannot be able to, but the state of police officers in this country, because that is probably, for me, the root cause of the problem. Because we have officers who are completely demotivated. These are police officers who will take a gun and shoot people like the one who shot people at Kangemi. So these are problems, teething problems that we are not able to look at, and they continue becoming festering wounds. And so at the end, we are going to have a situation where police officers are killing people. So I just want to ask the OCS Pangani police station, because there's a time we even threaded on Twitter for a full 2 days, but he's still the OCS Pangani. He was the OCS in Dandora, he went to Mombasa, came from Mombasa, came to Kamukunji, now he's at Pangani. So let us ask ourselves, when we leave these people, such kind of people in police service, then what are we saying? What do we expect?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. At the back.
Sasa, my name is Atieno. Mi niko na swali tatu. First, I love how tukiuliza hizi swali mnataja law. According to law, a police cannot be just removed. According to law, does the law stop working when it comes to boys being killed? Because if you cannot punish a police because there's a law, then why is it when a boy anapatikana yeye anauliwa immediately, why can't he be taken through the whole judicial system? Pia yeye tuangalie investigation inafanyikaje, because as you said, a police officer haizi chukua sacked because there has to be an investigation on them to see kama amefanya hivyo, regardless of how many people wamesema, the matter on Rashid. The other thing is transfer. I didn't know they're supposed to transfer after 3 years. And now, let's say a police amekuwa akiuana Dandora and you take them to Isiolo. Is transfer the punishment? I don't know. Is transfer the punishment for a rogue police? And does he stop being rogue when he's transferred? What if mnamtoa Kajiado anaenda anauana Dandora, mnamtransfer mnampeleka huko tena anauana? Aren't you just, it's like you're breeding the same thing, because kama mimi ndio kupe unipeleke pale niue watu. why don't you just get rid of me or munieke kando badala kunizungusha hivyo? Because the other thing nataka kuuliza ni these on bullets. I don't know. These on the killings that is happening, especially in informal settings. If you stay in informal settings, you know that when your child has been killed by a bullet, you have to also pay for the bullet. Is it something? I don't know. Do you know that thing happens as you people who are there? So this question is directed to you. Do you know that when my son get killed, I'll have to pay for the bullets that you guys killed or the police killed him? Like, other than losing a son, umeletewa pia mzigo ingine pia kulipa bullets. Are you aware of that?
Okay. All right. Thank you. The lady here at the front. Yeah. Yep.
Hi. I just wanted to appreciate you for having this meeting and also to ask and to address the issue that the guy in white, he's here to help us.
Mwangi is called Mwangi.
Yeah. Okay, Mwangi.
Yes.
But he said that there's nothing he can do about some issues, but he's the one in a position to do things that are supposed to help us. But he said that there's nothing he can do. So where are we supposed to turn to?
Okay, which Mwangi? Sorry, to clarify, which one?
The guy in white and with a white mask.
That one. Okay, fine. We'll come up to it. Yeah. Okay. I was very confused about that. Good. Yeah. Okay. The lady in red. Okay, thanks. The lady in red. Mwangi, please be helpful. Yeah? Be helpful when we come back. Okay.
Habari zenu. Na mimi kwa majina ni Stella Maris Ndenya. Natoka Mukuru. Swali yangu inaenda kwanza kwa IPOA. Juu nimekuwa nikijiuliza kwa siku mingi sana na sijawahi pata jibu. Swali ya kwanza nawauliza watu wa IPOA. Kwa nini kesi ikiwafikia imewafikia nyinyi, mmesimamia all the way from mortuary kwa postmortem nini na imefika kwenu na inalala? Sisi kama wazazi tukitembea IPOA tunakuja tunaambiwa kesi yenu ilikuwa like hiyo ya Mukuru. Kwanza ilikuwa na Mr. Kirui. Tukaambiwa tungoje alipigwa transfer. Next tulipewa Francis Kieti. Kurudi tena tuliambiwa hata yeye alipigwa transfer. Ilirudi tu tukae chini. Kama si ya IJM, IMLU na wengine Kenya National Human Rights walitushika mkono, sisi wazazi 8 wa Mukuru tungekuwa tumerudi tumekaa chini. Hiyo ni kitu moja inarudisha watu chini sana. Ile ingine nataka kuwauliza na msinichukulie kwa umbaya. Kwa nini kesi za kutoka mashinani huku informal settlements zikifika kwenu zinanyamaza, lakini kesi inatoka kwa ule mtu wa Kohebol hata kama ni ya jana mnaichukulia tu juu kabisa? Like ya Sinimoyo ilikuwa tu ya juzi. Hii kesi ya Kianchokoma ni ya juzi, but imefika mpaka milimani. Kwa nini kesi za wale watu wako chini zinaachiliwa, zinarudi nyuma?
Asante. The lady here. I'll come to you.
Hello. I just have 2 questions. One suggestion, one question. Most of the time when we have this sittings, we talk about our problems, we talk about the things that are happening, but afterwards, story hupotea. Kapsa, like nothing happened. We are so tired of it. It's really tiring. The more we keep having these meetings, the more things get buried, the more killings are happening. The more parents are losing their kids. 2, sorry, I think I've forgotten. The second one is, why is it that we put on posters about us wanting to help, but we don't get helped? Why? Because we put on sittings like this saying we are going to get helped, we are going to sit down and come up with solutions, but at the end of the day, the solutions that we talked about are never taken into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Give this gentleman the microphone, please. Yes. Yes.
How are you, James?
Please go ahead.
Are you in any way associated with IPOA? Because my hand has been up and you're not seeing me. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Even this gentleman has been running away from me. My name is Albert Nyakundi. I'm a crime journalist and I'm a consultant with Missing Voices as a data collector for police killings and enforced disappearances. My question goes to my friend Evans, IPOA. You talked of challenges in what I would call crime scenes management, that you are unable to secure evidence because at times police have collected the bodies, they have visited the scenes, and by the time you are going there, you have nothing much to gather. I think you should not even go there because you know very well there is nothing you are going to gather. Police knows very well when police kill, okay? When police kill or they injure civilians, they report to you. Do you expect them to secure the scene for you to come and fix them? And what we are saying is this, Mr. Evans. I understand you said you're acting director. If you take this, you're acting director investigations? Yeah, if you take my suggestion to your bosses, they will confirm you. Because you cannot tell me that journalists will come to the crime scenes, police who takes 2 hours to arrive. You know those vehicles, the crime scene. They take 2 hours to arrive. Why can't IPOA provide staff to go and man, secure that particular crime scene? You know, we are talking of devolution. I know IPOA has officials, has representations regionally. Then I would suggest that the same IPOA must have representation at sub-county level. They must have IPOA office Kamukonji, Tuman, Pangani, and those in Dandoras. They must have representatives, officials at Kasarani sub-county, such that when police kill, before they collect those bodies, before they tell you we have injured someone, we have killed someone, why should they tell you if you cannot come and witness and secure that crime scene? And then you expect the victims to come 1 week ago, 1 week later, or IPOA learns this 1 week later through the media, and you expect to find that crime scene safe for you to use? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, these are very direct questions. We'll never exhaust them, but please, let's start with you because you have many responses to make.
All right, thank you. Let me start with Stella Maris. Stella, pole sana kwa hayo maneno umepitia. Lakini hii kesi yako tumekuwa kwa hiyo kesi kabisa. Tunafanya kazi karibu sana na IJM. Kila mara kesi ikija kotini pale Makadara, investigators wetu wawili wao wako kotini na wewe na wakisaidia IJM pia na kesi kotini. Huyo Kieti pia mara ya mwisho kesi ilipokuja kotini alisafiri kutoka mali huko na alikuja mpaka kotini kuhakikisha kwamba kesi yenu inaendelea vizuri. Kwa hivyo hatujakuachilia. Tunafuatilia sana hiyo kesi kikaribu. My friend Mr. Albert Nyakundi. Good evening. Thank you. Now, to start with the first question with regard to why we do not secure evidence in time. Number one, As it were right now, nothing precludes the DCI or indeed the National Police Service from conducting investigation where their own are involved. So what the Senate has attempted to do right now, there's a draft bill before the Senate right now that is seeking to, among other things, preclude the police from investigating one of their own. And why we have that draft bill is because our board then did appeal to Parliament to say, look, there's a gap in our law. To help us address these challenges, we may need an amendment. And perhaps we can only pray that that draft bill sees the light of day, then perhaps we should be able to address that going forward. You spoke about devolution. We have devolved. We are in 8 regional offices as we speak, but you know you can also not devolve without resources. Part of the recommendations before the Senate right now is to ensure adequate funding to IPOA. And what they're also seeking to do is to expand our mandate such that then we're able to investigate other agencies involved in law enforcement, including KWS, the Kenya Prisons, and other law enforcement agencies. So work very closely with us, please support us. I'm sure we'll get there, thank you.
All right, thanks. Tabitha?
I would just want to add that the Office of the Director for Prosecutions is mandated under the Constitution to call upon the Director General of Police to investigate, Inspector General of Police to investigate cases. So you as wananchi are free to write to the Director of Public Prosecutions. We have a complaints department which just handles complaints. And the majority of those complaints are those ones where people are saying, I've reported this matter 100 times to the police. They keep on telling me they are doing something, but there's nothing happening. And therefore we take it up and follow it up. We make sure we tell them we want this matter investigated, and please give us the file within 7 days, 14 days, or 30 days, depending on the nature of the complaint. I would want to urge members of the public not to shy away. If you feel, you strongly know, you believe that you have been violated, knock on every door. If you knock on the IAU and they don't open, or knock on the IPOA, they don't open, knock on the ODPP. If they don't open, we have our friends, the IJM, the IMLUs, the social, just knock and knock, because the door will open. So do not give up. These institutions have been created for you, and you should make use of them. For us as the ODPP, we are committed to justice. We are committed to ensure that hakuna mwananchi atalia kwa sababu sisi hatulikosa kufanya kazi yetu. Tutajaribu, na tumeenda hata Kayole, engage members of the public. We were in Kayole about a month ago. We went there last year, we engaged the youth, the community. They told us their issues, and we followed them up. And in the month of September, we were there again to give them feedback. Do not shy away to knock on our doors. We have offices on all the 47 counties. Tuko na ODPP in every county. Tuko na 130 sub-county offices all over the country. Please do not shy away to walk into any of our offices to seek for help. That's what I can say, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Let me get to Mwangi.
I think you misunderstood me. What I meant was, what he has said that under the law, there's what is called the National Coroner Service Act. So what that act does is that IPOA does not go to man it. There's a professional who will come, collect the body, examine it, and collect the forensic evidence at that point. They are in charge of the body. As we stand right now, it's the police. You know, in 2007 and 2008, the police were the perpetrators, the investigators, and the prosecutors. In such a flawed system, justice was never to be realized. And that's why the IAU came in, the ODPP, IPOA, and the National Coroner Service Act. So that link is missing. And so many of the cases you'll find are lost because of forensic evidence, because the bodies are still collected by the police, who are still the perpetrators. And so a lot of advocacy needs to go into implementation of the act itself.
All right, that's clear. Zainab.
Mine will be to urge for openness, especially the NPS, IAU, and IPOA, because we do understand some of their challenges, but you see the mothers, the victims, they don't. And when you're not open with them and tell them exactly what is happening, they will see that nothing is happening, and there'll be apathy in even reporting the cases because they get tired. And you see follow-up, yes, I agree with you, they should knock, but you realize they're the same people who are now left to fend for their families because their breadwinners are gone. Their maybe only sons are gone. Those people they relied on, so it's important. I don't know how we're going to handle the feedback mechanisms because that is the biggest challenge. I don't think any mother or any sister or any aunt would not understand if you sat them down and explained, it's because the witness has refused to come and record a statement, that's why the case can't move. There's a way you can always explain to someone and they understand.
Right.
And so the blame game will reduce and people will be understanding of what is going on. Some of us are advocates and that's why we understand the procedure. And so when IPOA tells me, oh, this matter is told because the witness, this, I understand. But the mothers, the victims, they don't understand.
It doesn't
so
make
I would
sense.
just like to urge that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Wangi.
Okay, thank you very much. I think with us, Internal Affairs Unit, we are still very open to you people. We shall still remain accountable and we shall still remain to commitment to ensure the public you get the services you deserve. I was keenly listening and I really wanted to know whether the Internal Affairs Unit be put on the task. But just out of curiosity, how many people in this room have filed a complaint to the Internal Affairs Unit and has not been resolved?
Anyone?
Yeah, that is there. I think, who is that?
There's
nobody. Okay. You've filed a complaint with us? Which one? Yeah?
Makadara.
Makadara Law Court. Yeah, it is pending before court. So that one now, we wait for the court determination. So as that one, with us, we are committed. We have our internal mechanism to ensure that all the cases which are brought before us are expeditiously handled so that you get services that you deserve. However, still, we need to partner with you. I really thank non-state actors like IMLU, IJM, International Justice Mission. Even now we have public awareness campaign where we started in Coast Region because we have understood if we check at our data, cases of disappearance are so many in the Coast Region. And that is where we started a public awareness campaign so that we educate members of the public and we bring that kind of awareness that if you know such a thing happens, Internal Affairs Unit was just created for you people. This is how you can file your complaint and this is how it can be handled. So don't shy away from coming up with us. I know there are so many other issues. The way Okeyo said, there's a bill pending before the Senate. And one of the provisions of the bill, even as not to be sincere, has not pleased the National Police Service, even the Internal Affairs Unit. Because the bill wants to bar Internal Affairs Unit from receiving complaints from members of the public. And that is something we feel is not a well-thought issue. Because if you look at the Internal Affairs Unit, if you look at our data, out of the thousands of complaints we receive, they come from members of the public. So we feel that the public must be given an alternative. The way Madam Mawuya said, if you knock at IPOA and you are not assisted, there's another institution which could also take up that matter to its logical conclusion. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, ma'am, acha tumalizane naye. Ungependa kuona nini? Ungependa kuona nini ifanyike kuhusu hii mambo yote?
Mimi chenye ningetaka kuona justice, na hao wauaji wawe hawako karibu na raia, wawe wameondolewa ili kesi iwe inaendelea. Juu wakiwa karibu watatumana na sisi tunakuwa na uoga. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba kesi zikiendelea wawe hayuko karibu na sisi raia, wawe wako mbali na sisi.
Shukran. Thank you very much.
Wawe wako mbali karibu na sisi.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for my panel, please. Thank you. You've done well. You can exit. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot we can continue with this. Thank you. You can exit the stage. I'll end where I began with. All right. So let me just get the program going very quickly. Let me just get Alex Mambo from South Sudan to just come and say hi. Alex.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Mambo Alex. I'm from South Sudan, Human Rights Defenders Network. I work for YWCA, that is a Young Women Christian Association of South Sudan. It's a pleasure to be here, joining you in this panel discussion. To be honest, all the scenarios that we people discussed about are the same scenarios that we are experiencing in South Sudan, are the same challenges that human rights defenders are facing on a daily basis. So from this panel discussion, I believe when we get home, we will also try to make sure that we get on board people that are responsible to such violations of human rights. Otherwise, happy to be here. Nice evening. Thank you all.
That's Alex Mamo. Thank you very much for your comment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the next and final thing. I'd like to introduce Flawless Konya and Weban Kanyi, the two artists from Madare. They have a surprise for us. Here we go.
Like dead steps away, the person.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kanyi Waiban from Mlango Kubwa Madare, na rafiki yangu hapa.
Yo. You good? Okay, naitwa Flawless Konya, rapper from Madare Empire to be precise. And
Yeah.
Joe, karibuni kwa kukaa, au sio?
Yes, na tulikuwa na gift kwenyu. It's a music video. We wanted to gift it to the Mothers of Victims and Survivors Network and to all human rights defenders and all believers of the social movement. Na before tufanye hivi, you guys will be watching it. It just dropped about an hour ago. Ni video tumemake kukumbuka all the brothers, friends and sons we've lost in the hands of rogue police, and to also give a way forward from our own perspective, what we're doing about this whole situation in our own community. So we hope that you will enjoy. Na sijui Konya, I'll pay a few lines from the song before we begin.
Okay. To all those who are gone, tunaambia hamtasaulika hata mwili zenyu zigeuke sand.
Jumiti zenyu tumepanda and your memories ta stand.
Wangapi wako na sisi tukisema no to guns. tukisema no to violence and oppression of the mass, sema no to garbage na poor sanitation kwa mtaa, alafu tukipanda miti dignity yetu itastand.
Vigil. So tunataka tuimbe pamoja as we watch the video. We'll be saying vigil, hini vigil, hini memory ya every single young life, na waliotuacha wakuwe the last ones, na vidonda zetu zote ziwe lessons. Sema vigil, hini vigil, hini memory ya every single young life, na waliotuacha wakuwe the last ones, na vidonda zetu zote ziwe lessons. Enjoy.
Holding the video via phone seems shaken by the turn of events, and their hands shake more than once when the young man who is arguing with the armed gentleman is shot in the stomach and forced to lie flat on the ground.
Like one up for our brothers and best friends, whatever we lost, trusting guns to the wrong hands. Mzito ya moyo, ameangusha kwa mtaro, ending that see tomorrow, sipengo kitonaro. Fuck you for taking guns, he's the crime in the nation. Fuck you feeling hungry, losing a generation. And fuck you if you're neutral, thinking that you're the neutral. Cause the time I'm on, baby, the music he also said to her. Victim, Jimmy victim. Was I really born to belong in this system? Am I really crazy for having these big dreams? I'm the illegal art job for your victims. System, chomba system. Tuko surrounded na mabarracks na policemen. Average up to 15 ndo kusonga every weekend. Hii ni according to zile cases documented. 1900s ndo waliletwa kwa reserve.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think that's a good place to end. Just to remind you that we have an entire concert that comes immediately after this, but let me welcome Ramtu to the stage to do the vote of thanks. Ramtu, please. Makofi sana. It's a good job. Great job.
Okay. Naomba kusonga kidogo, the light is on my face here. Oh, okay. Anyway, mi kwa majina naitwa Marie Ramtu, Executive Director wa Muhuri, Muslims for Human Rights, tuko Base Coast. We're also part of the Missing Voices Coalition. Before nianze, najua ni vote of thanks, iko tuna 10 minutes, but sitachukua muda mwingi. But before nianze, nataka to take a minute of silence for maarifu wetu, brothers wetu, our sons, who are not here today. Okay, so message yangu leo pia itakuwa on behalf of that executive directors wa Missing Voices Coalition. Some are here, some are not. Nimekuwa nimekaa nikisikiza, the conversations are deep, even for us who are working on these issues every day. It's chilling kila siku kusikia these conversations. Hakuna mali inafika unafikira umezoea, yeah. Now today is Human Rights Day. The theme for today is equality, yeah, reducing inequalities and advancing human rights. But the panel discussions, plenary, tumesikia vile mnyonge ana haki, yeah. So, sijui kama equality itakuwa reality, but we can't give up, yeah. We have to keep on fighting on. There's somebody who made a comment about colonization, and I wondered, are we really ever going to get fully decolonized? Not just as Kenyans, but as people of Africa, yeah? So that's some of the questions zenye pengine tutajibu leo ama pengine tutaijibu. Conversation leo inaonyesha, a lot more about ukoloni mambo leo. We've heard that, neocolonialism is a thing, yeah? So even if the government is not necessarily using the tactics which were used by the colonizers, but they have mastered it, yeah? It's still militarization, it's still securitization, yeah? And sometimes I wonder, security and human rights, can it never align or converge? I think it's possible. Because one of the things ambao nimesikia ni encouraging, bado kuna hiyo nia ya, at least the panelists who are here, kuna hiyo nia ya, let's work together. Yes, the system is flawed. Yes, there are loops, but we still want to work together for safer communities. So to end it, the Missing Voices Coalition, what do you want to see? So from the discussions had, of course, we want the operationalization of the National Service Coroners Act. I think that's important, given what we've had. There's a need for the government to adopt a national framework to criminalize enforced disappearances. We still don't have that. We've heard how data is scattered. Everybody has their own data, so the government should set up a national register for people who have allegedly been disappeared at the hands of the states, including non-state actors. We want mortuaries to have records of unknown bodies that are buried and postmortems to be conducted within 3 days. And given the threats that follow witnesses, we'd like to see an increased capacity and optimum functionality of the witness protection agent. And also there's a need to enact special procedures to regulate the legal status of the disappeared. So the idea of declaring is to first, for the families to have closure, and then secondly, in the absence of their kin, the ones that remain behind need to be able to exercise their rights in the fields such as social welfare, financial matters, family law, and property rights. And I know that is not all, because I know it's heavily centered on the law. At the end of the day, ile change, ile healing tunataka at an individual level. I'm not certain if we get that. We've had the stories of the mothers. You know the pain, arifaku kama yuko, you know. So, and somebody mentioned it, you know, everything is on the law. What about the healing at the individual level? Yeah. Yeah, so with that, I would like to say thank you to all of us. Let's keep fighting. Let's not give up. The liberation struggle of this country took a long time. We still have to keep moving on for ourselves, for the next generations, for the world. I'd like to thank Aileen, I don't know where she is, Rajab, and all the people working behind the scenes who put this together. Kuna wale sijawataja, but mnajijua pia. Na kwa hayo machache, we have a concert out there. This is the kind of music which doesn't make profit, unfortunately, yeah? Music which give people chills, doesn't sell. That's, you know, rebel kind of music, doesn't sell. But it's the important music, yeah? We know how music is important when it comes to social justice and social struggles. So we have to keep doing that thing. Let's support the activists. Let's be the ones to be the ambassadors to carry the message. And with that, peace, y'all.